So recently there's been a bit of a thing with some kids posting on TikTok that apparently they're pro Bin Laden now that they've read his letters to America. This is like quite an old document, so I'd hope they're young for the simple fact that otherwise they should have already been aware of it. And what do I have to say regarding it? Well, I think these kids would have easily been marks for the Nazis. And that's because if you actually pay attention to what people say a lot of the time, it's generally not "fuck you, I don't care about you, I just got mine." It's generally something which is meant to be persuasive. For example, here's this bit from here's an ad from Axis Forces, basically arguing that you should probably, as a black soldier, you should probably come on over because you're better off. Here's another one. Here's a nice satirical picture of America. Another Axis thing. Got a nice Klans hat there. Bombing people, as you can see, with like a blood effect going on. Money bad. Some black guys in cages. Jewish flag, once again, very Bin Laden like they definitely want to let you know that they don't particularly like the Jews, but like, hey, if you're not Jewish, you're okay with us, which probably not true at all, but they've got a need to build some allyship, don't they? More Axis stuff. I believe this stuff was produced by Japan. Yep, we got like a rich British guy falling down, I guess. Okay, I particularly like this one. This is a favourite of mine. I believe this was once again drawn by the Japanese, although, not written in Japanese. Quite a good character there. I think it's got quite a good art style to that. And here's some like dead civilians and like those of the world's number one enemy. As you can see, not unusual. Here's a picture like representing Japan as kind of friendly with the rest of Asia. Of course, what Japan ended up doing in Asia ended up being worse than what a lot of European colonial forces did by far. Anyone heard of Nanking? Anyone heard about the 100 man like head beheading contest, which was actually put in Japanese newspapers in a positive way? E.g., this is goddamn badass. Troops had a contest where two men tried to chop off 50 Chinese heads before the other could. But here in this propaganda piece, they're all like smiley and happy. So yeah, heroes of Asia, people. My point is, maybe don't take seriously what people put out there, because generally no ideology is going to present itself as being like the oppressor. They're not going to do that. It's all going to be like, how can we help you get as many people on our side? Like when Bin Laden talks about equality, you kind of have to remember that when he says sexual equality, racial equality, first of all, let's be dubious of the second, but on the first we have an obvious case, which is the fact that if in Afghanistan recently an earthquake, 90% of the deaths, women and children. Why? Because women scared to fucking leave their houses without a male escort. And that's kind of probably the sort of sexual equality Bin Laden likes. We're not gonna go on to Jews or homosexuals, because he's at least open about his views there, because he has no intention of presenting any world where they aren't all dead. And if going on about the Nazis isn't enough, let's talk about the American far right or the British far right, because maybe if you're soft on the Nazis, when I start going after them, you'll take me more seriously. Here's an icon for a podcast I recently found. Like, it's a Manosphere podcast. That's a guy smashing an OnlyFans and a Tinder button. So you'd assume he's against pornography, right? Well, in certain cases he obviously is. A bit like Andrew Tate claims he loves women. They create life and blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm talking about? So anyway, this guy in this podcast happens to be good friends with a guy who makes abuse porn. So here he is mentioning, the guy's name's Drexel, and he's, my buddy Drexel, we're laughing our asses off at this. So yeah, maybe not. And of course, friendly with this Christian conservative lawyer, Nick Recader. So, yeah, there's a bunch of them together. Nick Recader decides to go on Timcast for whatever Tim will say is not far right, because Tim's far rightness is very interesting, but I'm not going to talk about that now. And what does he do? He drops the name of the guy's company and facial abuse, one of his porn sites, and oh yeah, he's really happy about that, really happy to get some traffic, really happy at the potential of how many subscribers he's going to get to his abuse porn site. Well, another example is Douglas Murray. He's here to destroy the myth of Israel committing genocide. Well, whether or not Israel will or plans to, I mean, let's be honest, some of them certainly do, but we hope that doesn't happen. Murray is probably not the one to talk about how you shouldn't commit genocide, because, well, Murray himself very recently decided to seemingly advocate for genocide. Here we've got some saying, here's a quote from him. Maybe they will finally put an end to this insolvable nightmare, raise Hamas to the ground and clear all the Palestinians from the benighted strip. So that would seem like Murray is advocating for genocide to me. Now, he's written it in such a way where he has some wiggle room, which is very Murray, but, it's... you might want to think twice about what people say and what they mean, because things they say can mean very different things to different audience members. For example, maybe it's not genocide if you consider the entire other side potential combatants. There's a lot of different logic. It's an interesting subject. Orwell, I think he had it very right when he talked about the English language and how certain terms basically have different meanings depending on who you're talking to. And Murray's a good example of this, because when he says he's free speech, you'd think, oh, hardcore, like, oh, he runs for Free Speech Society or whatever, and then you have him like suing people if they say negative stuff about him or threatening to sue. Probably threatening, let's be fair. I don't read into this. I'll best be safe with what I say in case he drops a lawsuit, but he's already obviously calling for people who say things he doesn't like to lose citizenship or go to jail or at least be fired. So, but I'm pretty sure those first two are very much stuff he's promoted. So maybe that free speech thing is just there to appeal to certain people. A bit like Bin Laden's equality thing is there to appeal to certain people. Is Murray as bad as Bin Laden? Probably not. I certainly hope he never gets that kind of power, because holy shit, horrifying. But yeah, that's my stance. Maybe instead of seeing Bin Laden talking all about how bad America is, you should think about what Bin Laden is actually promoting as an alternative. Because I tell you, for 90% of the people who are probably going, yeah, or at least on TikTok, particularly among young women, yeah, you better get ready for some serious forced birthing or whatever the fuck he's planning, because I do not think you're going to be happy with the actual end results.